I am still bullish on FLR. Now, some people may be thinking, okay, why? It's because 50 cents for FLR, which is its native token, that's still my price target for this bull run. And keep in mind, 50 cents is currently around a 32x from here. So I don't think it's too bad. Now, even though nothing I say is financial advice, why could I hypothetically see FLR going to the price of 50 cents during this bull run? It's because even though the price isn't doing the best as of right now, along with a bunch of other altcoins, I do pay attention to the fundamentals. And when I take a look at FLR more specifically, it has rock solid fundamentals. Let me explain why. Because as we all know, FLR is the blockchain for data, which some people may be thinking, okay, that's a little bit too simple. Who cares about that? Well, let's take a look at this deeper though, because when it comes to FLR, right, it allegedly provides developers with decentralized access to data from other chains and as well as the internet. Now, people may be thinking, okay, it's kind of boring. This is not that exciting. Well, I think there's actually more exciting parts. For instance, it's an EVM. Now, EVM stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine. However, even besides that, it's an EVM smart contract platform with two data acquisition protocols. The first is something called FTSO, which stands for FLR Time Series Oracle, and this is focused on decentralized prices. Now, people may be thinking, okay, first of all, who cares about, let's say, an oracle? Because I do want to talk about why this is so special. Now, we take a look at an oracle. Basically, in this context, it's a data feed that brings data from off the chain, aka off-chain data, and then it brings that data over into the blockchain. Now, if we want to take a look at some other examples of projects that have this oracle aspect, I would, like to mention something like Chainlink and also something like Pyth. But even besides that, why is this crucial, again, bringing off-chain data over into the blockchain? The reason for that is because without this quote-unquote off-chain data, many decentralized applications out there, they simply wouldn't be able to function properly. So I think that, if anything, really puts into perspective as to just how crucial an oracle is. Basically, it's like the backbone of decentralized applications. That's what I like to call it. So again, that's kind of like the fuel that makes it thrive in a sense. So when people say, oh, FTSO, again, the FLR Time Series Oracle, it's useless, it's boring. Well, it may not be the most exciting thing to some people, because I can't say that, hey, it's going to be exciting for everyone, but I think it can't really be denied that it's useful, right? Of course, when something is helping decentralized applications function properly, I think that's very useful, if anything. Now, again, of course, FTSO offers decentralized price and data feeds to decentralized applications on FLR. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, we take a look at the second data acquisition protocol, and that is something called the data connector. Now, people may be thinking, okay, who cares about this? Well, this is for trustless data proofs. Now, this enables information from other blockchains and the internet to be used on FLR. So yeah, when I take a look at FLR, it's actually a very complete project. I think it's wonderful. I get it, sometimes people may think that it's not the most interesting, but I think, again, in terms of its utility, in terms of its fundamentals, I think it's really up there. Now, not to mention, we take a look at some other more exciting aspects of FLR. We take a look at how currently giants like Anchor and Google Cloud, they're currently in the FLR ecosystem. I mean, let's just let that sink in. Google Cloud. I mean, we all know Google, of course. We're using YouTube, but I'm just saying, take a look at how impressive the FLR ecosystem is. Now, FLR isn't the biggest project out there. It's nowhere near the most popular, but really, when I take a look at it, I think that it shows that it actually has a lot of validity, in a sense that something like Anchor, something like Google Cloud, I don't think they would want to involve themselves in an ecosystem that they think is bad. That's just the way to take a look at it. Why would they do that? It makes no sense. So the way I view it is that when it comes to FLR, again, it doesn't guarantee that it's going to be successful, but I think, if anything, it showcases that, again, it's rock solid in terms of its fundamentals. Now, people may be thinking that, okay, when it comes to FLR, it's never going to recover because the hype for these type of projects are no longer there, but I disagree with that, because even though in my portfolio there's room for meme coins, and a lot of people that I know, they love meme coins and fun projects, sometimes people also want to look for projects that have good utility. And when it comes to something like FLR, its utility, in my opinion, is A+. So even though it may not be everyone's quote-unquote cup of tea, I would say, the way I view it is that it's something I want to pay attention to and something that I want to use as one of my foundational pieces in my portfolio. Now, why is 50 cents not too much to ask for when it comes to FLR? It's because if it were to go to that price, considering current circulating supply, at that point, market cap would be around $30 billion, which is around a 30x from here. Again, like I mentioned earlier on the video, around a 30x. Now, people may be thinking that, okay, around a $30 billion market cap, that's impossible, all this type of stuff. Well, let's take into consideration, Dogecoin at one point reached over $80 billion in market cap back in 2021. I mean, come on. We take a look at Shiba Inu. That year reached around $40 billion in market cap. Something like this can't go to around 30 billion. Now, keep in mind, it may sound like a big amount, but Dogecoin and Shiba Inu reached that years ago. Again, back in 2021, at a time where even during the peak of that bull run, there was roughly around 300 million crypto owners. As of right now, according to Crypto.com research, there's over 600 million. That's more than ever before in history. I think this run could be a lot more special, but it's just a waiting game, because the way to take a look at it is that this run is far from over. The reason being is because I've taken a look at the historical data, and I do know that usually altcoins, as a worst case scenario, they typically peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. And the last Bitcoin halving event happened in April of last year. So of course, 18 months from then would be October this year. That's why I still believe that this bull run is far from over. I think even though Bitcoin is having a pullback, I think better days are ahead. And just take a look back in time, back in 2021. I think that a lot of people, at least from what I understand, around that March time that year, I think a lot of people were probably thinking, oh man, are things really going to do well and all this type of stuff. But take a look at what happened a number of months later. We saw something like Cardano's native token called ADA do so well. We saw Shiba Inu and Dogecoin, of course, also a bunch of other altcoins. But I'm just saying, sometimes things can seem a little bit boring before they really do decide to wake up. And that is why I've taken a look again back in time, and I'm not going to be doing those type of moves. I'm going to be doing my moves, which I consider hypothetically strategic, which is why I dollar cost average and I don't give up. So anytime I acquire income, I acquire my favorite projects, I hold, and I just wait. That's it. That way, I am not focused about what happens to the price of, let's say, FLR next week or next month. What I'm focused on is constant accumulation over a period of time. That way, when the bull run really kicks into fifth gear, I'm not going to be panicking, FOMOing in, or wondering, oh man, I should have done this. No, it's just consistently believing in something and just holding and just waiting. That's it. Once I believe in something, I just focus on it. And again, I just wait for the long term, because I really do believe in something like FLR, and reaching the price of 50 cents during this bull run, again, that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever, because I think it's a very special project when it comes to FLR. And man, imagine once Bitcoin goes back to 100,000, let's say 150,000, and let's say it goes beyond to 200,000, 250,000, this could be a very special bull run. And that is why I'm staying patient and I'm not giving up. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. Greatly appreciate it. It's Malini the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.